Good afternoon, friends, and welcome. I'll be sharing live trades and results with you. We'll be evaluating how well these trades work out. We'll be benchmarking this against the S&P 500. I'm expecting to be outperforming it every month. Along the way, I'll also be sharing some lessons I've learned about investments, trading, and building wealth. And of course, the mandatory disclaimer. This is for educational and entertainment purposes only. It should not be interpreted as advice. And with that, let's get into it. All right, trade 39 ended right here. We exited at the end of the day. The next day, the market gapped up a little bit. Adam decided to go in, and we are back in. I'm going to let you know I wasn't able to get this live, but here is some recordings of the trade actually in play on that day, so you know that it's a good trade. But we had a long run on trade 39. Trade 40 is going to run a little bit too. Let's take a look and see what happens. This picture was captured at the end of the day on the 29th. That was the last trading day of the year. You can see it because this line shows you that it's 1229. This is where the market was on that day. Our entry was right over here, and you can see that we are sitting in an open trade as marked by this yellow line over here. But what a run this was. The day after we went in, the market went up a little bit. That always looks good. Next day, still running, still running. Look at after a couple days, we are running. And this is even after a long run on trade 39. That was a really solid trade. So even the next day, still up. And then we saw some pullbacks up in the next couple days. Pretty big drop here. Was getting a little worried about it at this point. But we are still looking pretty good. Ran back up and started to roll over. And as of the 29th, the last trading day of 2023, we are still in trade 40, but I wanted to give you a little update and show you where we are so far since it's the last day of the year, and also look at our year-to-date results. So let's head over to the tracking sheet and see how we're doing. All right, well, I think you're kind of seeing a big summary of all the results, but let me walk through a little bit of it for you. The close of the S&P 500 on 12/31 at the end of the day was 475.40. That's up another 5.45% from our last trade, which you can even see that was 10.3%. Plus another 5, it's 15% in a couple of months there. That is just outstanding. That brings the year-to-date of the S&P 500 25.25. And I do want to note one thing. This is without dividends. I think S&P 500 with dividends is another percent or two. So I think that should factor into people's thinking. On our trade, we picked up 7.67% as of the close of the aftermarket trading too. That brings our year-to-date return to 42.28. So, a couple of things to note. You can see some of the high points in here. You can see we were down to about 12% until the last big run, which was just amazing. The last month or two was crazy. And for us, we had our biggest gains in September, but we hit our all-time peak at the end of the year. This is a really good sign. This is what we want to see. We want to see sort of us leading and having our highest year-to-date returns as we're moving along. You can see that we fell a little bit in the months of September and October when the whole market fell. We are not immune to that, but we were able to make it back up as the market picked back up toward the end of the year. So I mentioned before, our winning trade percent ended up for the year at 68%. We expect to see about 70, so we're slightly below that. Our profit factor was 2.21. Anything over 1 is profitable. We definitely want to see that at greater than 2 or greater than 1, but 2 is great. We were up as high as 3. That was a little bit hot, but seeing something around 2 is just outstanding performance. So, one thing I also want to note is down here at the bottom, I just put some numbers in here for a reference. If someone was trading $1 million and you were in the holding strategy, you'd have made $252,000 that year. That is an outstanding return, 25%, no question about it. If you're trading, it's at 1.422. So That's $170,000 difference in a year. I think that's significant. And if you can compound that over a couple years, I think you're doing great. Just taking a look at the charts, you can see sort of outpacing where we are trading versus the S&P buy and hold. And our 3-year run is looking pretty good too. A couple years ago, we were 41 against 29. We're 42 against 25. I do have the trading of the SPY just because I think it's a way to dampen some of these losses. Going to decide next year if I'm actually going to trade that with some real money or not, just to try and balance this out. Because I would absolutely take, a 30% or 35% return and give up some of the downside on this, which was still pretty good. I mean, last year we were down 6.22% when the market was down 18. We'll take that, but a 10% gain in a bad market, maybe there's something to be said there. So all in all, the end of the year results I think are super solid. 42.28% trading versus 25.25 buying and holding. And Trade 40 is still running, so we're going to have to wait till 2024 to see how that trade ends up. That's it for today. How do you think we're doing? Please comment below and let me know how this compares to other investments you've seen. This is for entertainment and educational purposes only and should not be taken or interpreted as advice. Until next time.